Hello and welcome to another episode of Every Possible Angle. I'm very excited. This is a special episode. We have a special guest, Dr. Lisa Anderson, founder and president of Paragonix Technologies. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you, Michael.
I have had the honor of working with you for the last 5 years here at Paragonix, and you've done an incredible job with this organization and really changed the face of transplantation. But to start, I'd love to hear a little bit more. We don't often get to catch up about your journey, where you started out, and that's usually where we start with these podcasts. So to start with, you actually started, you're both in the medical field from a very young age. Both your parents were physicians.
Yeah, that's right, Michael. I come from Austria, as I've mentioned to you several times. And both my parents were physicians. So I would say dinner talk and dinner conversation almost exclusively always focused on patient care, how patients are doing, new innovation. So from a very early age, I knew I was going to be in the medical field, but I just didn't quite know whether I was going to pursue a medical degree or a science degree and try to contribute to medical science that way.
Excellent. And then you went to the UK and then Harvard after that for education, and you ended up in complex genetics after that. Is that right?
Yes, I ended up in complex disease genetics, which provided me a basis for moving into transplantation. It was a bit of an unexpected journey, I would say.
So how did you start in your exposure to transplantation? Because complex genetics was not transplantation was not your focus when you were in genetics, right?
Yes. So my specialty was actually type 1 diabetes and other autoimmune diseases such as multiple sclerosis. And so one day I got exposed to a human organ, a pancreas, that was being utilized for research. And so when I saw that donated organ for research in basically what was a cardboard box filled with crushed ice, I really had two immediate thoughts. The first one was, how can we preserve an organ just like that on ice in a very uncontrolled manner without providing the controls to preserve it properly? And then the second thought was, this organ was just left by a human donor, and we certainly should treat organs with utmost respect, as these selfless heroes are providing us these organs for research and also, of course, for clinical transplantation. But both of these thoughts really formed the basis of Paragonix and where we are today.
Absolutely. But I can imagine it didn't just jump from that initial experience to where we are today. There's plenty of people out there with interesting ideas, new ideas, but it's a lot of work to go from an idea to being able to change the standard of care. And we haven't actually spoken a whole lot about really the earliest days of Paragonix. Tell me about that. What was that like, trying to found a company, trying to convince people that this was a worthwhile mission to support, to join, to hire people and grow the company?
Sure. I like to cut it very short. It was a very, very hard journey. But let me just give you a few details and milestones. The company was founded in 2010. And as everybody knows, when you found a company, you need investments to really get it going.
Right.
So I think the first few years were really focused on developing the story about why new innovation was required in transplantation and really highlighting the issues in transplantation. And so as an entrepreneur, you were wearing so many different hats. One day you're raising money for your company. The next day you're literally sitting maybe in your garage, building a few things and trying new things. The next day you're out in the field trying to learn from clinicians. And then, a week later, you are reassessing your options that you have on the table to continue the journey. So the beginning of this journey was really almost like a day-to-day, week-to-week assessment, whether this is a field of medicine that was amenable and open to innovation. This is very important, not just for entrepreneurs, but also anybody giving you just $1 of investment would like to know how valuable your technology will be in the clinical community and for the patients that you're trying to serve. So definitely a very challenging part of the Paragonix history. But Michael, when we work in our company today, we're surrounded by incredible colleagues. And so it was really how, the type of people that were attracted to this crazy idea. And then also the type of investors that were attracted to this type of idea. But I can say the most common wish that investors gave me at the very beginning of the Paragonix journey was, well, good luck. We wish you the best of luck eliminating ice from organ preservation, which of course is what we have done and what we've demonstrated as a superior methodology. But really going out to investors and coming in with a story, well, I would like to show you a device that will basically replace what clinicians have been doing for 50 years. I can tell you that you get a lot of question marks about your story, and it's sort of hard to convince very early on a group of people that will invest in you and your idea and your company and the team that you build.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't imagine. One, the incumbent technology was close to free. It's ice and consumer coolers. But not only that, and I remember at some of the early days, even when we were getting clinically, the stakes are very high in transplant. This is the way physicians have been taught to do it by their mentors and their mentors, and a person's life depends on it. And doing something different than the way it's been done for 50 years is not a light matter. It's if this technology doesn't work, then they're the ones who have to look that person or that family in the eyes and tell them why it didn't work. And so there's a lot of pushback to change the standard of care. And I would imagine investors saw that. They had to say this.
Yeah.
This is a hard sell.
This is a hard sell. And I can tell you there were periods in this company where we really needed to get to a new milestone. We already had people maybe on payroll or consultants that were dependent on our work, and we needed to get to the next milestone. I remember it very clearly in 2016, in January of 2016, I had a series of investor meetings lined up at one of the largest healthcare investor conferences in the United States. And my trusted babysitter did not show up. So I was thinking to myself, well, I could miss all of the meetings that I've been working to set up for quite some time now, or I could just take the baby in the stroller and show up and hope that there is an understanding investor that would listen to my story. Well, I did show up with my then 1-year-old in a stroller, and the looks I got were funny. I think it was a combination of, well, good luck to you. Retrospectively, I'm super glad that I did it because at this meeting, I actually learned and got to know a couple of investors that later would support me in this journey. And so, to all of the entrepreneurs out there, and especially female entrepreneurs, never let your personal circumstances get in the way of creating something that is very, very important to you. Don't give up. Don't let kids get in the way necessarily. Just bring them with you. And I think they will also learn along the way.
They're great kids, by the way. And I'm curious, like, as you go from investors' pushback, there's all sorts of different layers of pushback. Then it was the challenge. You had some investment to do this very crazy novel thing, and then convincing physicians was the next layer. So getting to that first case, tell me a little bit about. There must have been some closed doors in your face when you first were trying to convince the clinical community that maybe we should be using something other than ice.
Yeah, it was very interesting. The clinical community was very open to meet with me. pitching a new technology in transplantation simply because there hadn't been any innovation in transplantation and organ donation. So while they were receptive to an initial meeting, I think then walking them through the thinking, our hypothesis, how we're going to demonstrate the benefits, I think that took a lot of time. And I might have shared with you once or twice that I did have closed doors and, where clinicians simply thought that ice was just good enough. Ice for organ preservation had been utilized for 5 decades, and seemingly the outcomes were okay. I think it was then, demonstrating to this group of clinicians that were initially not receptive to show them the data that you can change not just your clinical workflows, your organ acceptance criteria, but also that we could have an improved outcome observation with this technology. So yes, some closed doors, mostly a very open and receptive transplant community. I'm so grateful to all of the donation and transplant professionals that have encouraged me and sent me words of encouragement throughout the years. And as you know, we still get those on almost a weekly basis.
Absolutely. Can you tell me about the first Paragonix the device, the SherpaPak, the first case? Do you remember that case?
Oh, yes. I can replay you almost by minute play. I got the phone call and our clinical specialist said, Lisa, we have our first case. It happened here in Boston, Massachusetts, Mass General Hospital under the leadership of Dr. David D'Alessandro. The technology was utilized for the first time. And I can tell you, this case I watched just like many of the cases, or almost all of the cases I do today, as you know. I keep my eyes on, tried to keep my eyes on as many cases as possible. And I think that has really helped me stay in touch with the technologies, helped me stay in touch with our field team, and also completely and utterly understand the complexities and the challenges on these cases. Phenomenal first case that led now to thousands more. And we're really excited to celebrate having transported and preserved over 10,000 organs to date.
Which is absolutely incredible to cross that milestone. Congratulations. That's a lifetime's worth of work, and you've been able to make such an impact to so many lives. And I'd say part of that is your leadership on clinical data, that this would not have been possible if there wasn't data to support that. You mentioned that before. The type of device that we have, the SherpaPak, the lung guard, liver guard, barrel guard, they don't require a PMA trial, a big RCT for approval. And so could be sold and utilized based on just their technical merits on their own. But you chose a different path, which is fairly unique, to invest millions of dollars into registries and study the effects of these devices. What led you to that approach? You started that before I got here, and I have to imagine some of it was your scientific training. Why take that approach, and what impact do you think that's had?
Yeah, so you mentioned our first case. Yeah, it was 2018, and we were actually witness of a major change in heart allocation in 2018. It just so happened that the introduction of our device, the Paragonix SherpaPak cardiac transport system, coincided with a major change in heart allocation, and that was in October of 2018. And so that really slowly started to make me think, how are we going to capture data that is useful and helpful for the clinical community to establish guiding principles of how they will use this technology? Randomized clinical trials are, of course, the gold standard to study any therapy or medical device. But it seemed to us at the time that due to the changes happening in the donation world, in the transplant world, that are really quite profound and have big consequences in a short amount of time, that we would need to have a study design that would permit us to capture all of these changes on an ongoing basis. and not just a snapshot in time where by the time we'd enroll the last patient, our study would obviously already be obsolete. So we wanted to do the opposite. We really focused on a long-term view of capturing the dynamics of transplantation. And so at around 2019, we started to really get serious about the study design. We had our two PIs, Dr. D'Alessandro from Mass General here in Boston and Dr. Andreas Zuckermann from Vienna Hospital in Austria, helping us design a study that could capture these changes. And so we were ready to implement the study in the spring of 2020, when, of course, the pandemic hit, and we as a company, you just joined us, Michael.
Yep.
We looked at each other and said, what are we going to do? And I don't know if you remember, but
I
we
remember.
both said at the same time, we are going to collect as much data as possible because we are going to keep the community engaged and try to really think about what just happened with a viral pandemic and how this would impact transplantation, for example. So from March 2020 onwards, we were ramping up in our Guardian enrollments. And as you know, we're now following over 4,000 patients for short, medium, and long-term outcome data, which I think our team is incredibly proud and the clinical community is highly appreciative of.
Absolutely. And I think we're over a dozen publications now coming out of the Guardian registry. It's incredibly exciting to see the impact and acceptance and new questions being asked by the clinical investigators. I think to your original vision that this had to be able to be ongoing and dynamic. At least I find every year there's new questions being asked of where can we push or where can this be used for a new extended donor criteria, and I find it incredible, and truly it's a platform that has been able to do all of that. And that's in heart, but we're not just in heart anymore. Since then, Paragonix has launched, is the only company now that has products for all 5 major solid organs, including now just recently launched the Kidney Vault system, which is a portable perfusion platform, hypothermic perfusion platform for kidney transplantation. Tell me a little bit about sort of not only were you an entrepreneur, a scientist, but as a developer and a visionary to see that this technology could have applications across organs but with unique designs associated with the needs of each organ. What has that been like?
Yeah, it is. Our technology is a platform technology, but as you just mentioned, every organ has their own little needs, whether it is additional digital capturing that we need, whether it is special clinical support, product delivery, infrastructure to support the utilization of the product. They all have their different needs. I think what I'm really, really proud of is, of course, that we have now devices for all 5 solid organs, 6 devices for 5 solid organs. We have 2 lung devices, of course. But what I'm really proud of is that our team has not shied away from the difficult, from the complex, and from the challenging. So we have gone after small markets, such as pancreas. We have gone into the pediatric population and support pediatric transplantation. And I think that is really unique about our company and our approach to truly supporting the whole spectrum of a patient population that is so in need of technology and innovation. And so that's really, I think, what our team should be very proud of. And with the support of our clinical community, we can get technology to these patient populations.
Absolutely. And I think it is unusual for companies to seek out transplant as a whole is a relatively orphan disease space. It's small numbers. And then you get within these to pediatric transplantation, to pancreas transplantation. These are often underserved populations that most companies don't see the business case to do it. And for finding the right ways to do that, I think has been incredible to be able to serve some of these populations who are certainly very in need. And I think you're right. The partnership with the clinical community has been critical. Our devices have been informed by their work, their partnership, by the study research, by their guidance. Tell me a little bit about working with this clinical community and becoming part of this clinical community.
Yes, I mean, I think from day one of our journey, we have relied on the input, feedback, and guidance from the clinical community, whether that's a transplant surgeon or a medical professional in transplantation, or the incredible team members of organ procurement organizations. There's so many stakeholders in this field of medicine, from clinicians to administrators to transportation providers to logistics providers. So when we design our products, we really try to take a very holistic approach. Taking input from just one group of these stakeholders in this journey of an organ would not be enough to create a successful medical device in this field, just because of the sheer complexity of the procedures, both at the site of donation and then also at the site of transplantation, and everything that's in between. That through that journey of the organ. So this collaboration has been invaluable and has really driven us, and quite frankly, it pushes us also every day to become better.
I remember when I was interviewing and when I joined the company, one of the things you told me was that transplantation is very special, that it gets in you, and it's a very mission-driven space. And I think that's true. Everyone at the company, everyone that's attracted to this space, you really see how mission-driven, whether it's on the OPO side, on the transplant center side, the community here, because it's so interconnected, more so than most other parts of medicine, they have to work. The whole community has to work together. I do think it does drive a certain mission-driven community, and I think you've really cultivated that within our organization to help drive a mission-driven group. So going through all of this, starting as a
Mhm.
scientist, you've become the leader of this company. Tell me a little bit about what your journey as a leader has felt like for you.
God, that's a tough question, Michael. Oh my God, and it's so loaded. But I think that when you truly believe in something, you become so driven. And I think if the fundamentals are right, those fundamentals will drive you to doing the right thing. When I'm being asked these leadership questions, it's you're looking at a leader in isolation, but a leader is actually created by the people around them. And so it's truly our team that makes me a leader every day. And I'm so proud to lead this company and be able to help drive a vision that our team adopts and believes in. I think without that, it's very, very hard to do what we're doing. You know that better than me. We are on 24/7, 365. This business can't stop at 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. This business never stops. And so in order to be able to handle that pressure and the ongoing commitments of every one of us here in our team, you really have to believe in something. And everybody that knows me, if I believe in something, I truly believe in something. And I truly believe that we are going to make a significant impact in creating this new standard of care in organ preservation with the associated clinical benefits that everybody's hoping for.
That's fascinating. And we've gone through so many milestones as an organization. And, now that we're into the new year, what is your outlook for 2025? What is your vision as the leader of Paragonix for this new year?
Well, Michael, this past year has been nothing but transformative for Paragonix. We've achieved a lot. We have launched 3 groundbreaking new technologies in organ transplantation. including our BaroGuard donor lung system, which was just named 2024 Time Magazine's Best Invention. But we really haven't stopped. We're going to continue to innovate, and we're working across the nation with key opinion leaders to deploy new groundbreaking technologies. And I'm so proud that we're in the midst of our very early launch of our Kidney Vault device, which is a novel, completely portable kidney perfusion device. So really serving organ procurement organizations and transplant centers with highly innovative digital and a medical device component. So, in terms of the abdominal care that we will be able to provide with Kidney Vault for kidneys, Liver Guard for donor livers, and PancreasPak, I think it's quite an unparalleled abdominal care and transplantation. Now, we have just completed, from inception to the company to now, the transportation and preservation of a true milestone number, which is 10,000. So this company has preserved and transported over 10,000 donor organs for transplantation. And when I look towards 2025, I am so excited that our numbers for 2025 will almost eclipse the inception to now number, which is 10,000. In 2025, we will be supporting over 10,000 transplant cases across all of our products. But we are looking to support cases in heart, lung, liver, pancreas, kidney, and of course, we have our services offering. So that all adds up to 10,000. 10,000 is a big number in 2025. Our team is ready. And it's just beautiful to see that in thoracic, for example, that we're able to support over half of all transplant cases in thoracic transplantation with the Paragonix devices.
The thing that I've really loved working here is just how significant the impact is to these patients. And everyone throughout the company sees that and recognizes that. And so this mission to do 10,000 organs, touch 10,000 lives in 2025, I think it's an incredible goal, and I think we're all pulling for it, and we're all behind it to make this happen. And it's an incredibly aggressive goal. Can you tell me a little bit more about achieving such an auspicious goal?
Yeah, Michael, I mean, I understand your sentiment about that this is an aggressive number. It is aggressive because lives depend on it. The benefit that our technologies have shown in our Guardian series of registries really drive our team to do more. And the great thing is our company, our infrastructure, is ready to support that volume of cases at this point. We have heavily invested into infrastructure across the nation. We have heavily invested in the deployment of our products to the site of donations where they are needed. We have heavily invested in data capture, and that data capture really comes in two ways. We have built out the Paragonix mobile app, which is free, by the way. And with the Paragonix app and the digital infrastructure that comes with it, that ecosystem, which includes data captured on the app as well as in our digital hub, that really represents an incredibly robust data set. So you combine the 10,000 cases in 2025 with all of this data that we're going to capture, that is quite unique in this space. What I also want to mention is that we are continuing our journey of data collection in our Guardian series of registries, where we now collect data on heart, lung, liver, pancreas, and soon kidney data in order to really help clinicians decide and help them in the decision-making process of organ acceptance, where they're going to use this technology, and how they deploy it. So, 10,000 is an aggressive goal, but the great thing is that we have built out the infrastructure. We've built out the infrastructure from a deployment standpoint, standpoint for our products, but also from the digital side in order to support that number of cases.
To go from the first case to the first 10,000 cases to now 10,000 in 2025, this has been an incredible journey over the last 15 years. Can you imagine telling yourself from 15 years ago that you would be here now and what this would look like? And could you imagine where we've gotten to?
Michael, if I couldn't imagine it, I couldn't have done it. I had a very clear goal, and you need to have big goals in life. I once had a mentor that said, "If you don't dream big, what's the point of it all?" And I continue to dream big. However, does reality hit me sometimes in the face about what we're actually doing here and how we're impacting the field? Yes, absolutely. And I can say that probably happens on a daily basis.
Well, thank you, Lisa. It's truly inspirational. Where you started, where you've come to, the impact you're making, and you said 10,000 lives a number of times, but it's actually more than that because there's actually two lives involved: the donor and the recipient, and that was part of your inspiration at the very beginning of this, wasn't it?
It was, Michael. When every time we talk about our patients, we always think about both patients, the donor patient as well as the recipient patient. And I think when you do that, transplantation really becomes that magical field for our team that we are able to partake and participate in the process surrounding donation with our products, and then bring that donated organ to the recipient for new life. So absolutely, we always care about both the donor and the recipient patient.
And it is impactful. I've talked about it's impactful to the team, but we even have some team members who are personally impacted by transplantation. We have spouses, mothers, daughters, friends who are impacted by transplantation. So people throughout this field, throughout this company, and in this field, they're not only professionally engaged here, but driven by this mission, even from a personal basis. The impact that you've made to the field, again, thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your story, because from a leadership and entrepreneurial standpoint, it's a fascinating journey, and you're making an incredible impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.